Hi, this is Alex from devstories.eu. Langflow, Episode 8 of 15. The days of writing custom API wrappers for every new data source are over. You no longer need to manually map endpoints, format headers, and parse raw JSON just to let an agent read a web page or query a local database. That friction is eliminated by the Model Context Protocol client. People often confuse this with standard REST API integrations. It is not a generic HTTP request node where you wire up the payload yourself. The Model Context Protocol, or MCP, is an open standard designed specifically to deliver context and executable functions to AI models. It is a universal language for tool use. In this architecture, Langflow operates as the MCP client. It reaches out to an external MCP server, asks what capabilities that server offers, and exposes them. You achieve this using the MCP Tools component. You drop this component onto your canvas and wire its output directly into the tools input of an agent component. When the connection is established, Langflow receives a strict schema defining the tools, their descriptions, and their required parameters. It translates these into native tools automatically. The agent inherently knows exactly how to format the data and trigger the external functions. To make this connection, you select a transport method. The MCP Tools component supports two options: HTTP via server-sent events and STDI. HTTP is the right choice for remote servers running securely on another machine. You simply provide the endpoint URL. STDI is used when you want Langflow to execute a local process and communicate through standard input and output streams. Let us look at a concrete scenario using STDI. Say you want your agent to summarize tech news directly from external URLs. You can use a pre-built tool called the Fetch MCP server. In your MCP Tools component, set the transport to STDI. Set your command to UVX, a Python tool that downloads and runs packages in isolated environments. For the arguments field, enter mcp-server-fetch. Connect the component output to your agent. When you prompt the agent to summarize a specific article, the agent natively calls the fetch tool. It streams the target URL through STDI to the isolated background process, reads the returned text from the web page, and generates your summary. You wrote absolutely no code to make this integration happen. Many tools require authentication, like a database password or a private API key. The MCP Tools component includes an environment variables field that accepts a dictionary of key value pairs. If you interact with your Langflow graph programmatically via the API, you can inject these credentials dynamically using the tweaks dictionary. You simply target the MCP Tools component ID and pass the environment variables securely in your request payload. The defining advantage of the MCP client is total decoupling. You deploy an external capability once in any programming language and instantly give any Langflow agent native access to it without ever altering the graph logic. Appreciate you listening. Catch you next time.